I want them to totally serverless, of course, because I come from the home computing side of things, but you could use the same approach in hosting server hosting, because if you have thousands of computers in several server hosting sites spread over several continents, it's the same problem really. You can of course then make a tree or something, but if the top nodes fail, then it's bad, so it might be better to do it serverlessly, of course, and that's what some of you guys are doing, I think. Fully scalable, I wanted it to be possible to connect all computers on Earth, preferably at least a couple of million. So initially I put the limit at 16 million computers. That was an algorithm that didn't work up to that point was worthless from my point of view. But once I figured out how to do randomized algorithms, the problem kind of changed around. Now my problem isn't the amount of upwards. I can connect the galaxy, that's not the problem. For me, usually the algorithm scale is stable when it's below 100 nodes. That's my problem in the kind of solutions I use. But that's good because less than 100 nodes are really easy to simulate. So I can actually test the area where I have the problems. I don't need to test billions of nodes because it's the same as 4,000 nodes. So my simulation network that I use at home, it just goes up to 4,000 computers and I don't need to simulate more because it gives me no extra data. But I'll tell you how those algorithms work and how those randomized with that kind of algorithms, what that is later, so you learn about that. Globally searchable. Most primitive peer-to-peer search algorithms have a search rise. So you can only search 1,000 computers or 10,000 computers. Beyond that, it becomes too heavy. It just clogs the network. But I want, if there is 1 billion nodes and one node has the data I want, or for instance, if it's a telephone system like Skype or something, if you want to contact David, you have to find it. There's just one David on planet Earth with my username. Then of course you want to be able to search and find that node and connect to it. So it should be globally searchable, there shouldn't be a search rise. And we will talk about that and I'll show you how to do that. Most of you heard about distributed hash tables. It's kind of the same thing, but distributed hash tables aren't optimum for that. We use a simplified version of that for that, that's more robust. But I'll show you how to do that. Bandwidth efficient, more or less true. Sorry?
So I don't think I understand what you mean by globally searchable.
Okay, if there is, well, let's say 100 million computers, home computers, everyone is running my little telephoning program. And you and I want to, say you visit your family in India, so you're using a computer that you're normally not using, another new IP number, so I don't know your IP number, I have no way of knowing your address in India. But I know your username, so I type in your username, I want to phone Vidya. And then my computer has to search this peer-to-peer network and found Vidya. One node out of, say, 100 million nodes. So you have to find that. But usually in most peer-to-peer software, they can only search like 1,000 or 10,000 nodes. They can't search beyond that because that will clog the network. They have no efficient way of searching. But with globally searchable, I can search the whole network. Or actually, that's of course not what I'm doing. I search in smart ways and search in the right direction, of course. So I'm not really doing it globally, but it doesn't matter how far away you are. So that's what I mean with global search. Okay. So, well, bandwidth efficient for two reasons. I think one of you mentioned this, that when you have slow connections, for instance in machines like sensors or in cars, then it has to be very, very low bandwidth. But also, even if you have home computers with high bandwidth, for instance, you want to have this telephone app running all the time to receive incoming calls. Then you can't consume 1 megabit of bandwidth all the time. That would be silly, no one would run it. So it must be very bandwidth efficient so you can afford to have it running at all times, 24/7. So there's several reasons to consume as little bandwidth as possible, and I'll show you a little how to do that, not too much because, well, that will take some extra days to show you to make it really efficient, but some parts of it I will show you. They're robust, of course, it shouldn't crash just because, for instance, an Atlantic cable to America is cut off and parts of America disappeared, then the network shouldn't crash because some percent of the network crashed. So in my simulations, usually I unplug half of the nodes and see if the other half still keeps running stably. And usually they stabilize within 5 minutes. They don't even bother that the other ones disappear. Or for instance, there can come many new nodes at the same time, and I should be able to handle that. And of course, robust also means attacks. And that's the harder problem. Encrypted, well, we have many people that want to listen or we also we don't want a fake node to be able to fake that they are another node and stuff like that. So we won't know who's who, even if we just say anonymously. It's not to be anonymous. Then we have stealthy. Stealthy means really that the internet service provider shouldn't be able to figure out what software you're running. That's for me stealth. Because internet service providers and governments want to filter away some applications. For instance, in some countries they don't want you to phone over the internet, they want you to pay a phone. Or if the same company has their phone company and an internet company. So we want to, it should just look like junk, they should be able to know what it is, or it should look like something else. So I'll talk a little about that. And then, well, it can be nice to be anonymous, but making things anonymous is actually fairly simple. I solved that already in 2001, and when I solved it, I went out and Googled it, and realized that people have come to the same conclusion, so it's a really simple problem. So it's the other parts that are hard. And also, anonymous system needs all the other parts to work. You need that as a platform and build your anonymity on top of it. So that's, well, what ideal peer-to-peer systems we have. By the way, when I talk, if I express myself unclearly because, well, I'm tired and my English isn't perfect, please help me. If you know a better word for what I'm saying or ask, just ask away. Okay. And this is not me teaching us. If you're an expert in an area, feel free to add to it. Even well, this first hour.
That first list that you went through, the first list that you went through, yeah. Are you going to come back to each of those things and
yes.
expand on them? Okay.
Yes, I will. And that's what I'm going to do the next few days, how to do all these things. Cool. I can actually give you a preview here. This is my peer-to-peer stack. And my aim is to go through all of those boxes the next 2 days. So I'll show you some algorithm for each box. I can't, because each box, there are several possible algorithms to handle each box, but I'll give you kind of a set of algorithms so you can build a peer-to-peer system. But I'll get to this one. So that's what I'm going to do. What target applications? When I was building my peer-to-peer systems, doing my research, I was thinking, everyone knows file sharing, but there are many other things you can do, like telephoning, a list, a much longer list than this, because then I know what problems to solve. For instance, in chat, instant messaging or telephoning, that's the same problem as finding the other person connecting to that. And then if I send a message, a text message, or if it's telephone sound, that doesn't matter for me from an algorithm point of view. The problem is to find that node and connect. So type in video, we'll find that node and connect, and we can start doing our chatting. So that's instant messaging and internet telephoning. We have chat system, think iris here, so to find a chat room and connect to that chat room and start chatting with those. That's actually almost the same system, it's the same problem, because a chat room has a name, so we have to find the nodes that are publishing that name, that claim to be that name. So everyone that are in the chat room peer-to-peer hackers have to find one of those nodes, connect to that node, and then I can connect to the rest of it. It will tell me about the rest of the nodes, and then we're in that group. So that's the same problem, really. But with some additional things, so in such system, you have to have broadcasting of messages in the group and stuff like that. File sharing, as you know, there's a problem finding the swarm that is sharing file, like I think BitTorrent. So finding the swarm, then having a swarm that very efficiently transfer this file and stuff like that. And also, what people forget, like if you know the Pirate Bay, I think all of you know that. Yeah. That's a website, it's server-based. Would it be better if we could make that serverless, of course? So in your application, you either serve to it, or just see what files people are publishing and see how many are downloaded. Well, the whole, and even see the comments, preferably. And we can do that serverlessly now. It seems to, but I have only researched that a little, so I can't promise that my algorithms will work, because I haven't simulated that. But that's one. Then we have internet games. Internet games are really the other ones combined, because in internet games usually you first have a chat room where you meet people to start a game, and then when you start a game, the game world is actually like a bunch of chat rooms. You go into one sector, that's like one chat room. Every click and every command a person does in that area should be broadcasted to all other gamers in that area, well actually game computers in that area. And then when you move to another room, it's just simple, that's like switching chat room. You notice that in online games, when you move, it takes some seconds to go into the next area. In some games it takes 7 seconds, some games you almost don't notice it. But that's like switching rooms in a chat system. So internet gaming is actually the same as the chat system. It's not no big difference. And of course, updates of the game, new parts of it can be downloaded as file sharing. So, for instance, if you move into a new area you've never been, like with some three-dimensional world, you just download all the graphics and stuff from the other computers that have already been in that. So you don't need to download that off the server. Then you have radio TV systems. That is, one node is broadcasting, for instance, the Olympic Games in real time, and 1 billion computers are watching that. You can do that. And you can actually do it over a normal slow DSL connection. For instance, radio you can do it at least today, because the radio systems we have now for the internet, it sends the sound once to each listener, and that means you quickly fill your bandwidth. But you can send it on to some of them, and they can send it on to some more and some more. So you can connect it in kind of a tree manner, but not an organized tree, because that's bad. I like to do it a little more randomly, and we'll look at how to do it. We can do the same with TV. In a normal decent TV pictures, that's 2 megabit. That's 2 megabit. Well, high definition TV is 4 megabit. But if you have 2 megabit upload, if each node have 2 megabit one download and upload, you can connect 1 billion nodes listening, watching, for instance, one sports event. And that's perfectly doable, but that's fairly simple to do. Well, distributed calculation systems, CT at home, have you found that? Protein folding isn't as famous, perhaps, but there was at least a program where people, the computers can calculate how protein molecules fold.
I installed that one. Yeah.
And so you can try to find a protein molecule that sticks on the top of the HIV virus. And if you have that, you can, on the other end of that molecule, put something that makes the antibodies attack that HIV virus.
Does it still run, or is it?
I don't know, because I can't be away from this area.
I think it does. Also, SETI at home.
Docking home
Yeah.
is another one.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these that are running still. Yeah.
But there are all kinds of distributed computing calculation like that. And those networks usually have a bunch of servers that keep all these home computers together, and they report to that and talk with those. But I can do it without any central server at all. So we could actually have software for where anyone can start a project, and I want this to be calculated, and anyone with the one close mouth can get the data and start calculating and report it back to the network, not to me. Because I can turn off my computer and then come back once a week and see if the network has the response, or the result, if there is a ready-made result for the calculation. So we can do that totally serverless. And many more. But those are the target applications that I kept in mind, and we'll get back to that.
Would it be fair to say that chat systems, messaging, internet telephony, and internet games are really all the same thing?
Pretty much, yes. It's mostly about, well, one of the main problems is finding this in the global search. That's the global search to find at least one other node with that name. One node in that chat room with that user. But then also there's, if it's internet gaming and chat system, you also need some good broadcasting, because with the inner room you need efficient broadcast. So I'll show you how to do really efficient broadcasting. Because I'll get to that. But, you probably will hate the word broadcast when I read it. Tomorrow, because everything is broadcasting in my systems. Just different kinds of broadcasting. So I have a whole bunch of different broadcasting algorithms, and I use the right one to solve the right problem. And most people aren't aware of that. They use one kind of broadcasting associated with that. They're very fixed. Like the new hype word, it seems, in pt2 is now gossiping. And back in 2003, we meant something else with that word in pt2. It solved a specific problem. But people like that, so they started using gossiping for all kind of broadcasting. But when I say broadcasting, it's probably what
Bible paper, everyone's got a gossip protocol.
Yeah. But it's actually, that's what I call broadcasting. Because that is peer-to-peer based broadcasting. But there's many ways to do it, and I'll show you some of the ways and why they do better than others and what they do for. By the way,